Guys, welcome back to my channel. As most of you know that have been following the Kiely Rodni case, Adventures with Purpose released a 42-ish minute long members only video last night detailing everything that happened in their search for her. There's a lot of really ridiculously crazy information that came out in this video, and I am here to go through it with you because my brain is literally on fire. Now, as mentioned, this video is members only, so if you want to just go and join the channel and help support these guys, that's amazing. If not, then it's set to be released to the public, I believe, September the 2nd. Okay. Here we go. Less than 3 minutes in, we're thrown like the most ridiculous curveball ever. So basically, AWP gets contacted by a guy that works kind of like for a AAA type service and states that on either Saturday or Sunday that he got called out to the Boca Reservoir area to a dead battery call. And he didn't realize anything at the time, but saw a flyer for Kiely being missing about a week later in a coffee shop he was at, and instantly told his company and told the police about this little situation. So before I go further, I do want to also state this. This is a small town this guy lives in, right? And he's basically putting his job and his livelihood on the line by coming out and stating this information. And he is claiming that there is audio and video footage from this event because their dispatch trucks are equipped with it. So I'm just going to sit here and state that if AWP is being allowed to put this information on their video when it's already been about a week, a little over a week since her body was found, there's no way they don't have COD. So I'm just going to state that I feel this information being placed in here is extremely relevant and valid to the case. With that being said, first he calls the number back that he's given by dispatch and it goes straight to voicemail. Then he gets out there and he says that the girl who is assumed to be Kiely was with another male and that the tension was definitely there and everything felt like they were both really uneasy with each other. He said that the entire time that he was out there, that the apparent Kiely, every time the other male would come around her, she would move away. He would come around the car to where she was and she would move around, and over again. He said it was like that the whole time. She didn't want to be anywhere around this guy. And the battery's also not dead. The vehicle is in neutral, which is why the car won't start, and he verifies everything on the vehicle was in fine working order. And then he starts to state how Kiely, apparent Kiely, kept asking him about seat belts and for him to physically show her the proper way to buckle up her seat belt. And that's really strange to me. And I have a bad just vibe about this. Everything, I had a bad vibe about this whole thing prior to this, but man, if my butterflies aren't just going crazy right now. Kiely was no stranger to being a driver, or to being a driver in that area. Her family has told SF Investigates and pretty much everyone that she's been driving different types of all-terrain vehicles and all kinds of things around there for years. Country kids don't grow up like city kids. They don't just get behind the wheel for the first time whenever they're getting their permit, all right? We are on ATVs and four-wheelers and all kinds of things, tractors and all kinds of equipment before we even think about driving a vehicle. She would know how to put a seatbelt on, man. You're taught how to put on your seatbelt as soon as you're too old to fit in a booster seat anymore. You know about your seatbelt. You know it just goes over you and click clack. Okay, so why is she asking about a seatbelt? And that also tells me that she would know that the car being in neutral would cause it not to start. And apparently the guy that she was with there, it's his phone that she used to make the call for the vehicle not starting because she told the dispatch guy that her phone was dead. Which, yes, coincides with her phone apparently going dead at 33 minutes past midnight. But at this point, it's a whole 12 hours since then. You got a guy with you that has a phone that apparently works. You haven't tried to get on social media and message your mom or call your mom's phone or message anyone or tell anyone that you're okay and you need help. Instead, you call a strange dispatch company from another person's phone instead of calling your family or your friends. Like, I mean, I know a lot of people don't know numbers anymore, right? But you know people's handles and stuff on social media. And you could easily, could log in and either log in to your account on someone else's phone or just search the person that you need to contact through the other person's social media. Instead, it's been 12 hours since her phone is dead. She apparently had chargers in her car. Yes, because her and Sammy apparently kept going back and charging the phones. This doesn't make any sense to me. And the car guy gets the car started because there was nothing wrong with it. It was just a neutral, like I said. And he leaves. And that's it. He sees a missing poster a week later and realizes what he saw. Which totally explains, and they stated in this video, why they chose to start at the Boca Reservoir instead of at the campground. And look, I know a lot of people are skeptical about a lot of things because a lot of people in the beginning, when we heard that there was a tip from a civilian about not starting the search at the campground, this has got to be it. This has got to be it. And a lot of people were sketchy at first, like, oh, why would they be making them go away from the campground? Okay, but if this guy's company vehicle and his GPS have proof of where he was, that's time-stamped for the dash cam showing a girl that looks like Kiely, could be Kiely, might be Kiely, with a guy, and it's her SUV, that's after the party. That's after the party. That's 12 hours after her phone would have went dead. Why would you wait 12 hours if your phone was dead and your car couldn't start? And this guy states there was other people around them. Where he was parked to help her, there was other campers and other vehicles in the area. Why not ask someone that was there for help? Why call? I'm so confused. So AWP goes down to the exact location where this roadside assistance guy is telling them he was parked with Kiely's vehicle. And he makes another point about why they wanted to start there anyway. Apparently it was already on his mind to not start at the campground. And he uses this exact same reference point later on whenever they actually find her. So it's an interesting concept if you think about it. He sits here and states that the campground had a bunch of man hours, which we find out is over 19,000, and 18 different departments searched that area. So since it already had so much work done to it, he wanted to start where there hadn't been a lot of work done to it. But like I said, it ends up being a flipped up situation later, because the way that they find her vehicle and how quickly they find her vehicle, and just the fact that you could literally see her vehicle in the water as AWP is in their yellow canoe boat looking thing hovering over where she's at, it makes no sense why she wasn't found earlier, unless you take into consideration this sighting was after the party. Doug is then allowed to put an opinion in this that I again feel like if law enforcement involved wasn't on the same page as what he says here, they wouldn't have allowed it to be in here. Something is telling me that this was already reviewed, because it's not a cold case. I'm just going to assume that. But he states here that he is a firm believer in second chances, but some things don't deserve forgiveness. And he starts talking about people maliciously taking someone's life. And he kind of goes on a little bit of a rant about it. And I just kind of, again, feel like if it's in here, then it's most likely very relevant. They clear every body of water in about a 5-mile radius that they planned to look at. And then they head to the campground. And they are boats in the water at 10:41 a.m. And keep in mind, they had her within 35 minutes. Now, this is where it gets interesting, and where I would implore you to please watch for yourself so that you can see exactly what I'm saying here. Doug receives a text message from a confidential party about things that are being discussed on one of the Find Kiely Facebook groups about the party that night. He's being told that the speculations on this page might not be speculations, but actually very pertinent information. The text states that there was lots of drinking and drugging, several different fights, and this is where it gets interesting and why I want you to watch it for yourself. He then states the words, disturbing behavior between Kiely and a girl named... Now, a black box pops up over his mouth, and it bleeps or silences what he says. Watch his face. Watch the lines in his face and how they move, and say a certain person's name in your head while you watch his face. And this disturbing behavior between Kiely and this person was minutes before the party tore apart for no reason. And it's now being stated in this text, cars started flying out of the parking lot. What the shit? The text goes on to state that this could have been a panic situation. And kids' parents do know, and parents were telling kids not to say anything and to not get involved in it because it not your circus type situation. Even though you're an eyewitness to something, stay out of it, it's not your business type thing. And yeah, if something bad happened right then and there that people physically saw but physically weren't part of, that would cause a mass exodus at 12:30. And that being the exact same time her phone died. I mean, I've said for a while one of my theories was that something bad happened to her and everyone freaked out. I believe it was in, I don't know which video it was, but I said, what moves a herd? A call or fear? There was a second location and everyone decided to go meet up together, or something crazy happened and everyone fled out of panic. That's exactly what I've already said. But then again, this sighting of her the next day, it doesn't make sense. This just makes this make even less sense than it already did. Nick is the first one to catch something on their sonars. Now, they catch a huge, what they call, solid cast shadow. And he immediately states, it's so big, it's right there. How did they not see this? Because it's not just like a little blip. It's huge, the shadow that he can see. So to verify, he calls Doug over, and that's whenever he comes in, and they basically use these sonars the way that you do an ultrasound whenever you're pregnant. They move it around and get like different angles of what they're looking at, and he can see that there's wheels down there. Now, Doug does make a comment about how it looks like there's like stuff already like growing, like stuff attaching to the vehicle, and he finds it really strange because he was like, it's only been in there for 2 weeks. There shouldn't be like anything attaching itself to it. So I don't know if that means anything, but I found it interesting that he made that like assumption and discovery in the sonar. But after seeing that there was definitely a wheel down there, they dropped the magnet, and the magnet catches on. And that's whenever the team goes dark. They turn off their phones and they get ready to go down without causing a panic, because there's people out there fishing. There's people out there with their kids like while they're doing this. So they turn off all their phones and move their equipment over, and Nick gets suited up and goes down. Anyone else think that Nick kind of looks like Woody Harrelson? Now, I did record myself live reacting to him going down into the water, but I don't know why my phone gives me issues whenever it records clips longer than like a minute and a half. Whenever I upload it into the service I use for my videos, it will slowly start to remove my audio from my mouth. But it is a very emotional situation. But I want to run down here the very much now facts that we know about how her vehicle was found, which means how it went into the water. I will probably go ahead and upload the clip of me reacting live separately. It's a little over 5 minutes long. And I'll put a disclaimer about my audio being off just so that people are aware. But yeah, let's go ahead and go over the details that we have now. So we know that it was upside down and tilted at an angle. So it's basically tilted on the corner of where the roof and the passenger doors would be meeting, and it's kind of like that. He starts with the driver's side, and we know that whenever it came out of the water, the driver's side window and the mirror were damaged, and there was dents in the driver's side door, but first eyes shows here that damage was not there. The driver's side window is up and fully intact, and the mirror is not broken whatsoever. I'm just going to go ahead and assume, since SF Investigates mentioned something about them not using airbags, because it wasn't AWP that lifted the vehicle. As soon as they verified that it was it, they were told to get out, and they were on the other side of the lake while law enforcement came in and moved it. So whatever they did to move the vehicle is what caused that front damage that we saw whenever it came out the water. And the front seats do look to be pretty much like all the way back, which would also coincide with us not being able to actually see the seats, the driver's side seats, whenever they pulled the vehicle out. And I don't believe Kiely would have been tall enough to have driven that thing with the seats all the way back like that. I'm just saying. And while he's on the driver's side, Nick states he cannot positively identify if there's anything or anyone inside yet. But then he notices a pair of shoes, which takes him over to the passenger side of the vehicle. Now, I'm going to assume they were on her feet. That's an assumption. And the way that they have it blurred, it looks as if her body being in the back was towards the back tilted area. That's kind of just where her body would have eventually settled, possibly. And he does verify later on, once the dad and the grandfather get there, that she was not seatbelted in, which is something that a lot of people were questioning. They did a pretty good job blurring things out, but if you really look, you can make out what you're seeing, for sure. If you really listen, you can hear Nick's voice shaking. He's crying as he's reporting this back to Doug. You can hear it in the vibrato in his voice. And later on, when he comes up and he's relaying more information to them, his face is completely red and he's silent for a few minutes. He can't even speak. And as he's going around, he can see that the passenger front window is completely broken out. That's the words that he uses. And you can see very clearly inside the car at this point. And I can see a white iPhone charger that looks just like my mother's sitting right there with the string out. There's a bunch of stuff which would be on the roof of the vehicle since it is upside down. But something you can definitely make out is a Truly can, which is like a fruit seltzer type alcohol beer situation. This is not a strong situation right here whatsoever, even for a 16-year-old. It's barely a wine cooler, to be honest, but it is there. Now, it's not floating, which is interesting, so I kind of want to believe it might be full. Nick goes around the car a few more times and verifies, yes, that the driver's side window in the back that we saw was halfway down really was rolled halfway down. It was really hard to watch this, guys. Really hard to watch this. Now, I want to address this Facebook post that was going around as of yesterday that was apparently posted by Kiely's mom, Lindsay. It has since then been not only deleted, but also debunked. The message was some crazy stuff about how they never contacted her. They never even got any condolences from AWP. They're not heroes to her. All this crazy stuff. And all of a sudden, people started really hating on her. And it turned out to be fake. It turned out to be fake. And I mean, I understand why people would be upset. They're the only people that found your daughter after all these people failed you. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? But she did just lose a kid, and she could have just been reacting just because she was reacting, but then it turned out to be fake. Who the hell is going out there making fake profiles of a dead girl's mother just to get people to target her? What the hell is wrong with people? Immediately, Doug calls Lori, which is his contact for the family. He was not even given Kiely's parents direct information. He was given Lori's information for anything that they needed. And he says that. He makes it very clear. Once they tell Lori what's going on, they then call Sally, which is the grandmother. The grandmother then calls Grandpa and Dad, which were with Steve, who is SF Investigates from Twitter, who's been of great help in the case. And the grandpa and the dad and Steve are on scene within like a minute or so. They were in the area already. They show up on ATV. Now, the dad cannot stay. They are getting ready to call law enforcement and tell them to come on and let's get this thing out of the water. And the dad basically says, this is not going to be the last memory I have of my daughter. I'm not going to see her like that. And he gets on the ATV and he takes off. And that's why Grandpa stayed, to protect his son and also be there for his granddaughter. It's just, it's all so sad. So we did have a lot of questions about the state of the vehicle answered, but I feel like we just have more questions now. Especially if this sighting of her really was after the party. Because so much of that information like adds up and could possibly puzzle piece connect into the rest of it. But then if that's the case and she was seen by this roadside assistance guy the day after the party, then what was the disturbing behavior that happened between her and, assume whatever you want here, that happened moments before the mass exodus? Why is there like no clear path that this could go yet? Because even with those two options, it could also be like trafficking gone wrong, yo. Like, think about a girl who is very comfortable driving, and especially in that area, and she's playing dumb blonde over how to use a seatbelt, and the car is in neutral, but she's sitting there stating that the car is like, the battery is dead. That almost sounds like she's trying to get someone's attention. Jeez. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm glad that they put this video out and a lot of stuff got cleared up, but this poor family. Alright, guys. Well, my next one is going to be an update on the Julezofalltrades case. There's some really sketch information coming out about that one that, you know, is kind of similar to this one. People that she has known and has known for quite a while might very well be involved in this situation. I swear this is the reason why I literally have no friends. I literally talk to nobody during the day but me, myself, and my children. And this is why. Until next time, see y'all.